You're listening to Flawda Girls Diaries, Episode 4. They say this story comes from the pages of a Flawda Girl's diary. It may be a girl I know. Maybe she's me. Maybe she ain't. Is it true? Almost entirely. Thursday, February 28th, 1991, 9:48 a.m. Everyone in my family worked at Disney. Mama, Daddy, Uncle Mike, and Auntie Belle. Living in a small town only 10 minutes away, it brought a lot of much-needed jobs. Walt Disney World was the magical place that made it possible for me to dream bigger. And I loved watching Mickey Mouse on TV, then going to the parades to see him too. He was always happy and smiling, and he made me smile. He was secretly my best friend. Being an only child was lonely, and Mama and Daddy didn't seem to enjoy each other's company much. We weren't like the happy families I saw on TV. We were never as happy as Mickey. Mama loved spending her days off hanging out with her little sister Belle and Auntie Belle's husband, who was Daddy's older brother, Uncle Mike. That's how small towns are. Families often join too closely together. But that was our way of life. They all carpooled to work at Disney as a family, so it all seemed convenient and even a little fun for them. I'd make my way to Disney after school, which was always the most exciting part of my day. I'd get to explore different worlds and let my imagination run wild. Being at home and at school never brought me the joy this place made me feel. This was a magical place where everyone was always smiling, always happy, eating sweets and jumping through water sprinklers for the heck of it. Cookies floated in the Space Mountain sky, waterfalls, enchanted rides, movies, and churros. As far as I knew, Disney invented churros. It was my favorite place to be. And I never, ever wanted to leave. My therapist asked me to explore why I might have deep-seated trust issues, why I haven't spoken to my mother and father much in the last 10 years, and why I've separated myself from my family. She asked me to dig deep and think about why I've shunned them. She asked me, "Are you ashamed of your family? Where you come from?" I told her I might be a misanthrope and that I genuinely don't like people much anymore. Humans are gross. They're messy and they ruin everything they touch only to disguise it as bettering the world. They're all selfish and I'm sick of it. They ruined the earth, which used to be beautiful and full of nature and has now since become a burning ball waiting to combust. We're headed for the moon, but we'll destroy that place too. We've polluted the membranes of the earth, each other and ourselves, ruining everything Disney meant to me. And now I have this stupid name that my parents gave me when they were young and stupid, working at Disney with nothing to show for it but a few cool photos and traumatic memories. Now, none of them work there anymore. And none of them are together. As the only child between my parents, my family just doesn't exist. At 9 years old, I was more observant than my parents cared to notice. Being an only child forces you to pay attention more. You don't have the distractions of siblings to fight and bicker and play with. I noticed everything. Mama's eye rolling behind Daddy's back as he talked about trying to get a higher paying job at Disney. He always wanted to be a regular in the parades. He was always like, How they just give y'all full-time jobs, and they still want me to work janitorial part-time? He wanted to know, and Mama would say, men ain't never satisfied when a woman got a little more than them. Just an appetite for more, more, more. You want me and everything I got. Be happy you got a job. Some ain't got one at all. Mama was promoted to be one of the lead dancers in the parade. She went from working in the bakery to dancing full-time. She jumped in one of the parades on a whim, and the director saw her, wanted her immediately. It's her Hollywood story. She wanted to live in it, celebrate it, and Daddy just couldn't be happy for her. Instead, he wanted to know how to get it for himself. His big brother, Mike, was being promoted too, and he hated it. They were always competing for something. Mike might be getting moved up too, he said. But Mama just shrugged and continued eating the dry meatloaf she'd carelessly overcooked in the oven. One thing Daddy wasn't gonna do was be ignored. Mama wouldn't even pretend to care. So naturally, the arguing would ensue. He'd call her a bitch and tell her she needs to learn how to respect a man. And she'd say something like, men pay all the bills. You ain't no man. You's a roommate, nigga. Mama always hit below the belt. Why did she have to hit so low? Was it her annoyance with the cigarettes he smoked around the house that she constantly asked him not to? Was it his need to have a 12-pack of beer in the fridge even when the electric bill was past due? Was it that he wasn't as handsome, accomplished, or ambitious as Uncle Mike? Mama would always call Daddy a lazy, ambitious nigga behind his back. She always made jokes about how Auntie Belle got lucky with Uncle Mike. And she got Daddy. Did she hate him? Did she hate us? Did she hate me? She surely wanted something else. Something more than us. She wasn't content. And neither was Daddy. I didn't have siblings to lean on, so I would go into my room and turn on the TV to one of the many Disney movie tapes we had. We couldn't afford cable, but Disney always ensured we had enough movies to watch. I'd watch Mickey Mouse reruns and skip to my favorite episode, Mickey's Choo Choo. I loved how loving Mickey was to Minnie. They were always kissing and smiling. I wished Mama and Daddy were like that. I stood on my feet the whole time, dancing, singing, and laughing over the fussing and fighting. I'd turn up the volume extra loud to drown out the fuck you nigga, stupid nigga, no fuck you bitch, stupid bitch. And I'd focus on Mickey Mouse's sweet voice saying, gosh. Every time I watched that episode, it reminded me of Mama. She was Minnie when the train got detached and started rolling backward. But unlike Mickey, Daddy wasn't trying to save her. He was pushing the train to make it go faster and faster, like he wanted her to crash. Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, princesses, and princes galore clouded my bedroom walls. I just knew that outside my house, there was so much joy. There was Disney. That's what I was looking for on the TV screen, and when going to Disney and watching the parades, all the smiling faces were the rave. It gave me hope. Auntie Belle worked all over the park, but mainly at the bakery. She was always so cute, dainty, and ladylike, but people would complain of her fingers smelling like cigarettes as she'd hand them their blueberry muffins. Daddy and Uncle Mike doubled as repairmen and janitors, but Uncle Mike was an occasional dancer in the parade like Mama. Auntie Belle was always on the go. She did whatever they needed her to do. Sometimes she was dancing, sometimes cleaning bathrooms, sometimes at the bakery, or even checking people onto rides. She made it the most fun for me every time I went. She'd run me around the park and say, "We gotta get on all the rides before the parade, 'cause I gotta go be at the bakery right after the Mickey and Minnie Mouse show." I was always shy, but on this day, I said, "Can you tell them hi, especially Mickey?" She always got closer to him than I ever could. She looked at me and could probably see the childlike desperation in my eyes and said, "I'll make sure he says hi to you today." I was so excited. I was finally going to meet Mickey. I've always been so afraid in the past. Mama said once I went into shock. I cried so hard when he approached me. I don't remember being that afraid, but I felt ready to meet him now. I had questions for him this time. I wanted to ask him about his smile, his happiness. How are you keeping it on for so long? Are you truly happy, or is someone making you smile? Is this all a show? How do you keep it going? I needed to know. From the sidelines, I watched the festivities. Music, confetti, glitter, a huge celebration. I saw Snow White. I saw Aladdin and Princess Jasmine. I saw Pocahontas, whom I always believed I was related to. Soon as I learned we had Indian in our family, I just knew deep down inside that Pocahontas was my cousin. It's been that way and forever will be. Mama came out in her sparkly royal blue leotard with sheer glittery pantyhose. She was part of the Peter Pan show. She danced behind Wendy. This was her first time so close to the front. I was so excited for her. She looked at me and waved so elegantly. She was made for an audience. I saw Daddy near the back, not in a fancy uniform, but something like a gray jumpsuit. He wasn't meant to stand out, but to pick up pedestrian trash along the parade to prevent the train from being disrupted. He had a forced smile as he went by, but I knew he wanted the glitz and glam like Mama. Then there was Mickey and Minnie, holding hands, kissing, just like on the choo-choo. That's when it happened. He walked up to me, stooped to my level and said, in his most perfect Mickey Mouse voice, "Hi, Disney. Gosh, what a cool name." I've never been starstruck in such an intense way since that day. Hearing his voice was like hearing God's for the first time. He was more real than God. God was someone I hadn't seen or met before. But Mickey, he was my God. Tears tumbled down my face, and all I could muster up was, "You know my name?" He picked me up and said, "Of course I do. I'm with you every time you watch me on TV." I couldn't speak. All the questions I had were forgotten. I just wrapped my arms around his neck and cried. He said, "I love you, Disney." And I said, "I love you too, Mickey." He put me down and continued on. I waved goodbye as Auntie Belle tugged on my hand. Still breathing hard, Auntie Belle realized that I was having a panic attack. She rushed me to the bakery to get some water and begged me, "Relax, baby, calm down, breathe." Once my breathing regulated, Auntie's supervisor said, "Hey, Belle, I need you. Disney, can you go to the employee locker room and wait for your mommy?" Belle forced a smile and returned to work as I headed to the employee locker room. It was a dirty place, dingy, the darker side of this magical paradise. How could a place so beautiful be so dirty? I went to the girls' bathroom because I had to pee after guzzling all that water. I remember there being piss all over the seat. I never understood why women had the grossest public bathroom etiquette. My legs were too short to squat, so I had to wipe the seat with a bundle of paper, soap, and water, then another bundle to dry the seat, and finally a bundle to lay on the seat. Then I was able to pee. I heard a crashing noise and people giggling from the locker room. And then I heard Mickey's voice. Was he here? I jumped up from the seat so quickly I forgot to wipe. I didn't flush or wash my hands because I needed to hurry. I opened the door and walked around the corner to find a traumatizing display. Mama, bent over a chair, titties hanging from the top of her dress, with Mickey Mouse's human fingers squeezing around them. It took a moment for me to realize that it wasn't Mickey. It was a man wearing half of Mickey Mouse's uniform. Mickey's head, to be precise. Mama finally noticed me, and we all just froze, standing there in utter silence. Mama tucked her tits away and said, "Baby, listen, don't say nothing to your daddy." Mickey slowly removed his costume head, and Uncle Mike said, "Don't tell Auntie Belle neither, okay? They wouldn't understand, baby girl." They wouldn't understand, but I did. I knew they were asking me to keep a dirty secret, and I felt dirty too, all of a sudden. As I watched them rush to get dressed, it dawned on me. I finally knew why Mickey's smile was so big. I remember riding home late that night. They loved listening to the quiet storms on the way home. That deep, raspy voice soothed me so. Auntie Belle and Uncle Mike sat in the front seat. Mama, me, and Daddy in the back. Mama looking out one window and Daddy the other. I stared straight ahead, thinking about how unreal it all seemed. Mickey, dreams, love, parades, Mama, Daddy, Uncle Mike, princesses, and princes. It was all a show, all a performance. Reality had set in. Auntie Belle gave me a smile and a wink through the rearview mirror as Uncle Mike turned up the radio and let Just My Imagination by the Temptations do the talking. And everyone sang along all the way home. Thank you for listening to an almost entirely untrue short story from Flawda Girls Diaries.